Okay, so I have a feeling we don't really need to go over some of these, correct? We'll go over all of them, but let's everybody agree on number one. That should have been simple, simple. Anybody have any issue with A? Anybody? All right, here we go. What about number two? All right, now if you don't know, please don't be afraid. I'll be happy to do it, but I'd rather get to the harder problems. Yes. Yeah, so again, it's just completing the square. Now, let me ask you something. Do we care about what the center is? We don't care what the center is, right? Because they're not asking. All we care about is finding the radius, correct? And in our equation, it's equal r squared, right? So generally, when I teach kids on the SAT how to do these, I always try to tell them time is more important than anything. So I'm trying to get you to agree that all I need is r squared, right? So that means I'm just going to complete the square, but I don't care about the center. Agree with this? So this 24 needs to be put over to the other side. So that equals 24. Do you agree? And then it's just half and square the middle terms. What's half of -4? Squared. So it'd be adding 4. Do you agree with that? And then half of 6 and square. So I'd be adding 9. So now 24 plus 4 plus 9 is 37. You agree with that now? And so r is the square root of 37. Now, is everybody seeing what I'm doing there? There's no reason for me to do the other part of the equation because they didn't ask me for the center. Everybody good with that? All right. Number 3, I thought. Bless you, bless you. Now, again, which one doesn't make any sense at all? C, right? Doesn't make any sense at all, right? Now, again, I don't want you to, these are different. All right, so if you're not seeing something, just feel free to ask. All right. I thought for sure it wasn't C, right? That doesn't make any sense. The distance is never going backwards, right? And this would be kind of going, does everybody see that? That just doesn't make any sense. What else doesn't make any sense? I think D is correct. It doesn't make any sense. But why doesn't D make sense? Can anybody tell me? It's not what? Yeah, it's not accelerating, right? Which means it's going faster, right? Does everybody agree with that? Okay, so now I thought A and B were super similar. All right, someone tell me why they knew it was something before the other. What did you think? Yay, that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So X is not on the ground, it's what? Above, right? So it's not starting at 0. So that was very good. All right, very good. If you got A, I'm pretty happy with you on that. All right, again, not traditional, but something you should be able to figure out. Anybody have any issues with that? All right, I'm happy with you on that. Let's check out 4. This one I thought was kind of sneaky. Well, I want someone, listen, it's hard. I'm not arguing. But if you draw it out, I'm trying to teach you. If you draw something out, I thought it was pretty obvious. What did you think? Somebody said B. What do you got? B also. So anybody else? What did you get? Come on. C, good. C2. Anybody else? A or D? You got what? B. All right, now let me see if I'm showing you correctly. The radius is 10 and it passes through the origin, right? So again, I'm not saying to draw things perfectly, but I am saying if I'm just going to make me an X and Y axis, and here for letter A, the center is what? Oh, but we can automatically eliminate what? Because it's supposed to equal what? All right, so if you did that, all right, now you have a much better chance. All right, that's what I'm saying. If you don't know something, I want to see marks on your paper saying, okay, well, it couldn't be that. All right, so let's just jump to B. So what's the center? So now I'm going to draw 5, -5, which to me, does everybody agree would be right there? And it passes through the origin, correct? So that means if I put a dot on the origin, this right here would be what length? So what's that length? I'm asking you, what would it be? What should it be? I'm asking you, what should it be? It should be 10, right? So I'm going to put a 10 here. Now, is that correct answer? Why not? Right, because if you drew just this right here, that's 5 and that's 5. So the hypotenuse would be what? The hypotenuse would be 5 radical 2. And that's not 10. Everybody seeing me on that now? All right, I really thought that was a good question. All right, so what about C? Is that correct? Who said no? Tell me, tell me. Well, no, I'm saying, all right, come on now. The idea is your thoughts are important now. I don't, so just because we crossed out B, we're saying it's not, or we're saying it has to be C because everybody thought the answer was B or C. And I'm saying now that you saw me draw it, is that correct? Is C correct? And I want to know why. If you say yes boldly, tell me why. Tell me. Yeah. It would be what? It would be what? Mr. Ruffin, tell me. That's exactly right. It would be radical 200. Right now, come on. Does everybody see why it's radical 200? Right, and if you're not seeing it, it's because you didn't draw it out. Right, in my opinion, once you draw it out, the center of the circle for C would be at what? 10, 10. So I'm just going to make it right there. So that means if I draw from the origin, that's 10. Is that true? No, because if you draw the right triangle, this is already 10 and this is already 10. So the obvious answer now is what? D. All right, now I'm stressing really, if you draw it out, you have a better chance. I just hope you see that. All right, you don't have to know how to do it. All right, drawing the picture helps tremendously. Tell me. No, it says it passes through the origin. So look, from here, watch. I'm going to create a circle that passes through the origin. Yeah, see? Right? The visual. No, and I'm telling everybody, I understand the difficulty. Once I became not lazy and I learned to draw things out, it makes all the difference in the world. And some of you are so good at math, you just think you should see the answer all the time. It's not that way when you take standardized tests. All right, if you want to improve, you got to learn to draw things out, even if you don't see it. All right, it makes a big difference. All right. Yes, sir. Good. That's exactly correct. Exactly. And then the only answer is what? The only answer is D. Thank you for that. Perfect. Exactly correct. Is that what you did? But you didn't say D because everyone else said C or D or B or C. That's why I'm saying, people, please, you got to learn. Just because everybody says the answer is one thing doesn't make them right. Every single person that spoke up got it wrong. All right? It doesn't matter. These are harder than normal. All right? You're supposed to struggle. All right? And you're not doing yourself a favor if you're just watching me do the problems. All right? That's the other thing I want to emphasize. You're supposed to try them at least. Read the question before you say you don't know something. All right, 5 I really like. Hint, 5 I really like. All right, an instrument shows the number of revolutions per minute made by each tire of a car. In each revolution, the car travels a distance equal to the circumference. Does everybody understand that? If my circumference of my circle, let's just say, is 5 feet. The circumference is 5 feet. If I roll the car down the road so my tire rotates one time, it will go how far? 5 feet. I never understood the difficulty of this. I never understood. So one circumference, if you travel the circumference of a circle, you're going around, correct? The linear distance is equal to the circumference. Does everybody agree? All right. Again, like I said, that's a difficult concept. All right. So we already know that the circumference of the circle is 2 pi r, right? So if this person's car has a radius of 0.3 meters, that means the circumference, the circumference is what? 0.6 pi. That means every time the tire rotates one time, it's going to travel how far down the road? 0.6 what? Now, for some strange reason, as soon as I say pi, people get confused. Pi is just a number. It's what? 3.14. But in my mind, when I was learning these problems, I always just said pi was 3, right? Because it was easier for me to then calculate. So if it's 0.6 pi, that means it's like 1.8 meters every time it goes around. Does everybody agree with that? Right, that's all that means. All right, so now here we go. So someone tell me, if it revolves 779 times every minute, how far down the road are you going to be in 1 minute? Tell me. Shh. Somebody said 1.5 kilometers. Now, I would like everybody to take out your handy dandy calculator. All right. Now, keep in mind, this is meters, so we're just gonna go slow. All right, we're gonna go slow here. And again, at some point when you get lost, just raise your hand. I think I'm explaining it great, but that's not always translated properly into your brain. All right, so this is extremely important. All right, and like I said, I'm not understanding the problem with this. All right, so if the circumference is equal to a revolution, does anybody have a problem with that statement? One revolution is one circumference. So if I have 779 revolutions, I have what? That's right, I have 779 circumferences. So what is the circumference? 0.6 pi. So if the circumference is 0.65 or 0.6 pi, I'm going to be how many meters down the road in 1 minute? 1,468 point what? 0.38 meters down the road, because everybody did what? 779 times 0.6 pi. Does everybody agree with that? So I've gone that many meters in what? In 1 minute. And the question is, I want to go kilometers per hour. So if I can do that in 1 minute, Harris, what do I do to find out how much I can do in an hour? Don't listen to him. What are you doing? That's not too confident to me. What am I doing? Read. That is correct. If I can go 1,400 meters every minute, and I want to go for an hour, I'm just going to multiply that by 60. Because why? 60 minutes is what? So I want everybody to hit times 60 on their calculator. And that's how many what? Meters I can go every what? Hour. That's how many meters I can go every hour. But the question doesn't say meters per hour. It says what? Kilometers per hour. So what am I going to do next? Divide by 1,000. Now I'm going to tell you, say that again. 88.1, but it says round to the nearest kilometer. So it'd be what? 88. Now again, guys, I'm not trying to be funny. I'm asking. If you don't understand that, I need to correct that. Right? I think all of that to me is logical. And I have so many people that can't do that for some strange reason. I have no idea why. And I understand part of it is they don't associate the circumference with a distance, a linear distance. All right, because you're going round in circles. All right. Does anybody have any questions with that? Anybody? All right, that's a really nice problem. All right, if you understand that, you got that right, that's very good. All right. So next, Maria gets new tires. The radius of each of her old tires is 0.3. The radius of each of her new tires is 11% longer than the radius of the one of her old tires. What is the circumference of each new tire? Come on now. Now some of you said I couldn't do A, so I couldn't do B. That doesn't make any sense. All right, so what was the answer to B? Someone tell me. How much? I don't know. Anybody else get that? 2.99? 2 point what? 2.09? To the nearest tenth, right? So if you put that on the test, obviously I don't care, right? But we want to make sure, because on the SATs, if you put 2.09, they would just do what? Mark it wrong. Now, I didn't do the math on that. I'm asking, does everybody agree with that? And if you don't know, it would be say, hey, man, I don't know. Any issues? Does everybody understand B had nothing to do with A? Right? You should have been able to do that. All right, so I'm happy with that. All right, now number 6, just how good are you at math? That's all. What was the answer? Somebody said A. I'm not sure I believe that. A. Okay, so now, guys, come on now. This is a substitution. Do you agree? All right, so I'm trying to solve for X, right? Which means I have to eliminate Y. So that means I'm going to put this value in for Y. Come on now, this is good algebra. All right, this is a good review for your upcoming standardized tests. All right, so X plus 2 squared plus negative 2x plus 4 minus 3 squared equals 40. Anybody have any issues with what I just did there? I just plugged in, I substituted in. Is everybody good with that? All right, X plus 2 squared. You should be able to, again, look at that and say X squared plus 4X plus 4, thank you. Now over here, this 4 minus 3 is what? 1. So now I'm really squaring negative 2x plus 1 squared. Everybody agree with that? So that again should be plus 4x squared minus 4x plus 1 equals 40. Everybody agree with that? Anybody? Okay, what's nice about this problem? Yeah, that cancels out, right? So how many squares do we have? 5x squared plus 5 equals 40. So you're correct. 5x squared equals 35. X squared equals 7. Wow. Look, if you can do that, you're excellent. All right, seriously, that's very good if you got that. Now, technically, it should be plus or minus 7. Remember, when you take the square root of a variable, it's plus or minus, but there was no negative. All right. So that's another little note you want to add to yourself. Thank you, Morty. What? Okay, so remember now, which I'm glad you asked me, okay? So when you square a binomial, there was a pattern I told you last year. You square the first term, then it's always this times 2. So x times positive 2 is 2x, then times 2 is 4. So that's plus 4x, and then plus 4, you square, right? So let's practice. If I said 3x minus 5, you can dazzle your teachers next year. 3x minus 5 squared, you should be able to look at that and just say that's 9x squared minus 30x plus 25, right? Because you multiply 3x times negative 5, which is negative 15, and then there's always 2. The middle term is always doubled. All right? Yep. Square the first term, square the last term, multiply these two together, and then multiply by 2. Do you want me to remind you why there's 2, or do you understand why there's 2 there? That was the smiley face stuff that we did last year. 3x minus 5, negative 15, negative 15. It always comes out to be the same when you square a binomial. Good on that? All right, like I said, all that's a good review for your upcoming entrance tests. All right, here we go. Number 7. I feel good about this one. Somebody said what? 108 degrees. Does everybody agree with 108, or do I need to do that? So let's say AB has a length of what? 3 pi, right? And it has a radius of what? Now, again, what I'm trying to tell you is this is a part of the circumference. Do you agree? So do we agree the circumference would be what? 10 pi. If I went all the way around that circle, I would go 10 pi. Do you agree? But I only went what? I only went 3 pi. Do you agree with that? So I just went what? 3/10 of the circle. And the circle has how many degrees? There you go. 108. Do you agree? 360 divided by 10, 36 times 3, 108 degrees. Yes, ma'am. Because what's the formula for circumference of a circle?
Oh, the 500.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
All the way around. It's a deceiving question because they just did what? They just gave you half the circle, right? All right. That's a great problem too. You see how they can deceive you just by drawing it a little bit different. All right, up here. Yeah, I thought this was a really nice problem too. For those of you guys who are thinkers, obvious answer. Anybody try? Wow, I'm impressed. Those of you guys who said D, pat yourself on the back. That's a good job. Seriously, my high school kids have trouble. It's embarrassing. All right, do I need to explain it? Do I need to explain it to anybody? Don't sit there and not know something now. Be brave. I don't know. Everyone else seems to know but me. That's not true. All right, so watch. I like my iPad here. All right, so here's where I'm at. Here's where I'm at. Now, watch. I'm going down the circle, traveling. This goes down. Going back up, going back up, going back down, going back down. You see it now? You sure? The speed at which it's rolling, it says it's going at a constant rate. So if it's going at a constant rate, it can't be A. Do you agree with me? Because if it was going at a constant rate, it would just be a straight line, right? Harris, do you want me to go on and explain the rest of them, or are you good? All right. Anybody else want me to explain one of the choices, why they're not correct? All right, I'm happy with you. 8's a good one. All right, 9, you should have been able to do. All right. Now, do I care what the radius is? I'm only looking for what? And remember what I told you. When you complete the square, it's always whatever you did half of. So what would be half of 20? So that would be x plus 10 squared. Notice I don't care what the other part is because I'm looking for the center. So right off the bat, can I stop? Yes, because I know now the center is going to be at -10. Everybody see that? Nice way of taking a standardized test. A lot of my kids, they just do the whole problem thinking they're so smart. And they just wasted a bunch of time. So I understand that part of it. All right, here we go. Yeah, this one everyone got, I'm sure. What is it? Pretty confidently K. Anybody agree with that? Now notice what they did here. And again, some of you, they have the 7 drawn incorrectly. If they would have drawn the 7 like this, I bet you can see. Right? Because then this would be how much? Isn't that dumb? So 14 is the side of the square. Everybody see that now? Right, if you just continue the diameter this way, you can't really see that that's the side of the square. Anybody have any questions with that? That's another really nice problem. Any issues? All right, so they told you here, this is something that they've dropped from the geometry book. I don't know why, but that used to be a section in our geometry book. But it tells you, correct, how to do it? So what did everybody get? What? Who said D? Why? Right, so tell me your equation, buddy. That's exactly correct. Thank you, Bill. Exactly. Right? It tells you the formula, and some of you didn't do it. Right? That's a formula. That's a true formula. Any issues? What? Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know why you do a proportion when it says, it tells you the product of the, you know what I'm saying, right? Okay, this one I thought was kind of easy, but tell me. Come on now. I'm hoping everybody, did anybody else put something else besides H? Do you need help? Okay, F, good. Anybody else? All right, now again, in my opinion, we should just what? We should just go slow and read properly. Megan and M and L are side by side at point A. They begin to run at the same time clockwise around a small circular track. Megan runs at 40 seconds per lap, while the other person runs at 70 seconds per lap. Which of the following figures best represents their location 120? Well, if they're 120 seconds, then what's good about M?
I missed that it was possible.
Okay.
Because I was thinking of the other one.
That's totally okay. Does anybody else need me to continue? Anybody else need me to continue? All right. Ooh, 13. What are we thinking on 13, guys? So I've got an A, I've got a B. Somebody else? Somebody said C. That's good. All right. What is the radius of each circle? It increases by what? Does everybody agree it's increasing by 2, right? So I know from here to here, the big circle has a radius of what? 10, right? How many points do I need? 30. So that means I have to hit somewhere in here. Do you agree? So what's the radius of that circle? What's the radius of the big circle? So I need to hit an area of what? 36 pi out of what? 100 pi. So the correct answer is A. Again, I'm not, if you don't know that, that's okay. Do I need to explain that, right? Remember, probability is what? Yeah, probability is you want the dart to land somewhere in here. Do you agree? So that has an area of 36 pi. Probability is part to whole. You hear me? So the dart has to land somewhere. So the whole dartboard has an area of 100 pi. You with me? Anybody else? Anybody else? Anybody else? All right, 14. Yeah, I think you guys can do this, right? What was this? Someone tell me. I don't remember. What is it? Somebody said F. I'm not sure if I agree with that. I'm not saying it's wrong. I don't remember what the answer was. Who else? Is everybody agreeing it's F? Speak up. Okay, good for you. Somebody else? K2, good. All right, it says there were 90 students, right? We want bananas, right? How many had bananas? How do you know that? That's correct. Right, is everybody with me? So there's 25 bananas, right? So isn't it 25 out of how many? 90, right? And then how many degrees in a circle? Everybody agree with this? So I think it's 100 now. Is everybody happy with that explanation? Evan, are you good with that? Mia? All right, that's another really nice problem. Good job for those of you guys who read that properly. All right, what about 15? That was kind of easy or not? Now remember, don't sit there and say, well, I don't know how I got 160. Everybody said that was easy, but me. Do I need to do number 15? Yeah, so what are they asking for? What should be the central angle for what? Core, right? So core, to me, I wouldn't take it, but I would say it's pretty close to 180 degrees, right? So if my best guess, if I had no clue, would probably be H or J, because they're both 20 degrees off, right? So 4 hours out of how many? 4 out of what? 9. Do you agree with that or not? It's kind of the same principle as before. Do you agree? And then there's what? 360 degrees in a circle. All right. All right, I figure 16 should be good. What is it? F? J? Okay, wow. Okay, so not as easy as I thought. So here we go. What is the area of the top of the deck, right? So am I correct in saying I'm just finding this right here, right? So that would be a rectangle minus the circle, right? So I'm thinking 32 times 20 is 640. And then I have this pool being cut out. Is the whole pool into the deck or is just what? Half. So minus pi, what's the radius? Why is it 12? 32 minus 8 gives me the diameter, which is, so 12 squared. So now everybody type in the handy dandy calculator, 640 minus pi times 12 squared. And I don't understand how you missed that one. Somebody tell me what the answer is. Because you checked it or because that's what you had? Thank you, sir. Anybody else have any issue with that? Anybody? All right, here we go. What? Harris, what? 640 minus pi times 12 squared. Do that right on your calculator. You get it or not? You can type it in straight like this. 640 minus pi. You can even put the 12 right there and then do square, and it'll give you the right answer. The calculator knows order of operation, guys. Now look, don't make me break out my calculator now. I don't feel like it. No, everybody in here can do 640 minus pi times 12 squared. Oh. That's my fault. I forgot to put the what. We're only doing what? I forgot to put divided by 2. That's what the problem is. But your calculator will still do order of operation. If you do that, just type in, thank you, 640 minus pi times 12 squared divided by 2. That should do it now.
Yeah.
Is that now good? All right. How long in centimeters is one side of a square whose perimeter is equal to the circumference of the circle with a radius of 2? Wow. Why is that? The circumference would be what? Would be 4 pi, right? 4 sides of a square. So all we do is just divide that by what? Brilliant. 18. I'm not sure what the problem is here. Ooh, somebody said H. Okay, so it's tangent. All right. Now, the center of the circle is what? 2, 0. Does everybody agree with that? So this is from here to here. Does everybody agree that's 2? And if it's perpendicular, or because it's a tangent, that's a 9-degree angle. Now, tell me. Yes, brilliant. Thank you very much. So the radius of the circle is what? 1. So this guy is 1. So now we can use a little bit of trig here, right? And it's also a 30, 60, 90. Brilliant. All right. That's exactly correct because the short leg is half the hypotenuse. Very good. But for us mortals, right, Brady, we would just use the 3069 or the trig, right? So this is opposite over hypotenuse, which is sine of theta or sine of x, sorry, is equal to 1 over 2. X equals inverse sine of 1/2. And that should be 30, right? Yay. Man, that was a great day today. Very, very, very good day. All right. Lots of great work there. All right. So remember what I told you yesterday. I am not there's 3 or 4 SATs, and then go back over your note from yesterday, right? All right, go over the note from yesterday. Make sure you know how to write the equations. All right, completing the square. Again, I tell everyone I'm not tricking anybody. All right, I looked at the worksheet and I just said, okay, same questions, just different numbers. All right, good job today. Very good.